Hey, welcome into this Pro Producer Scotty here to get you ready for Week 5 starts and sits. We've got some stuff to go through. We've got some breaking news to talk about, players with some last-minute additions to the injury report or healthy report. Scotty, what's going on?
Oh, just a lovely Sunday here after a crippling playoff loss for my Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm just ready to, throw myself completely into football as, another year of Toronto sports fandom and absolutely crippling letdown with an 8-1 lead. So let's try to flip it over and go Vikes and go fantasy teams.
Watching the Blue Jays last year, which was my, I'll admit it, my first baseball game of the year that I watched, it was like watching the Packers in the playoffs. Just, you knew the choke was coming. You just knew it.
And what a glorious choke it was. So on to the football and victory.
100%. As always, leave your questions in the comments. We will get to every single question. We do so in order, so the earlier you get your questions in, the quicker we'll get to them. Please don't spam the questions. One is enough. We will work our way through. If you want to get an immediate question or answer in, Super Chat is the way to go. We're going to quickly detail over inactives and actives today, along with some breaking ones that just happened moments ago, and then we'll transition to your questions. Let's start first, Scotty, with the guys that will not be in your lineups this week. Unfortunately, you're going to be out without Michael Thomas and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is not going to play today, and we kind of said before we recorded or hit the record button, Kyle Pitts being inactive might be a blessing in disguise for fantasy owners out there. It's been rough.
It's been super rough, and at the draft capital that they spent on that guy, it's one of those guys you can't really leave him on your bench because odds are you need him to perform if you want to have a chance this year. But maybe this gives you a break for a week or two to try out somebody else and see how it goes.
Yeah, just the target volume not there for Kyle Pitts. No idea what's going on. Arthur Smith just refusing to utilize Pitts as a true pass catcher like they are Drake London, but we'll see how that goes. Julio Jones will not play against his former team in Atlanta today. Treylon Burks got moved to IR if you missed that, so you're going to be without him for the minimum 4 games. A nice stream this week might be Robert Woods, who's going to be the lone man. Big target volume for him. And then the Commanders are going to be without Logan Thomas and rookie wide receiver Jahan Dotson against the Tennessee Titans. So adjust your lineups accordingly for those players. And then we have some pretty big expected to plays here. Star-studded list. I know some people are really happy to see Alvin Kamara is going to suit up. Hopefully he's not a last-minute inactive like he was last week. But a big list. And to add to this, Amon-Ra St. Brown officially active for today, along with Isaiah McKenzie for the Buffalo Bills. So anybody on this lineup that you want to talk about here that's expected to play and maybe what you think the day will look like for them?
Well, I mean, I think what Montgomery coming back does is, really limits Herbert.
Yes.
At least on my squad, I had to sit him down everywhere. It was a fun little fast start there. I mean, Lamb seems to have a really good rapport there with Rush. So I think if he's healthy and going, you got to slot him in. Higgins still been looking great, and I mean the Dolphins offense there. Even without Tua, I think both of those guys, that skill, that speed, you got a lot of guys on here that I think you got to slot back in one way or the other. With Kamara, yeah, he's been definitely a dud for the owners that took the plunge on him this year. The ribs, just week in, week out, is super hard to gauge. But, if he's actually active, maybe he can start righting the ship for those owners.
Yeah, and get your T. Higgins in the flex spot. The Bengals play the night game tonight against the Baltimore Ravens. So get Get T. Higgins in your flex. We are still waiting on news for Rashad Bateman. It probably won't come until later, but just a friendly reminder, Rashad Bateman missed 3 practices this week. If I had him, I would maybe look to have Devin Duvernay as a backup plan because we might get news close to game time that Rashad Bateman actually doesn't suit up today. So just some things that we want to have you keeping in your fresh in your brain. And with that in question, we're going to just transition over to your questions. So get them into the chat and we will absolutely get to them one by one. Again, no need to spam the chat or double things up. Oh, that is the wrong one. There we go. Let's get those names situated. And let's head to the comments. Good morning from Easy Daddy. Thanksgiving up here in Canada. Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian listeners. Brandon Phillips. I'm thinking of flexing Josh Reynolds and Amon-Ra if Amon-Ra doesn't play instead of Curtis Samuel. Am I overthinking this or is this a good move? Well, you don't have to make that decision anymore because Amon-Ra is playing. So with confidence, fire away.
Absolutely.
Full PPR projected to lose. Good to know context. Facing back-to-back champ Captain Jeff. Start 2. Flexes. Devontae Parker, J.D. McKissic, Josh Palmer, Kenneth Gainwell.
Well, I'm rolling out Devontae Parker with a prayer this week myself. So he did manage to get a touchdown last week on 2 catches to go with his 24 yards. So
Yeah.
I feel like you could do worse. I will be rolling with Parker for one more game this week to see if he can keep it going, and that might be the wide receiver. We'll see. What about your picks?
I'm gonna go Palmer and Gainwell. Chargers still without Keenan Allen, so Josh Palmer is gonna continue to play that sort of tertiary role alongside Gerald Everett and Mike Williams. So I'll go Palmer and then Gainwell. Man, the Philly rushing offense is so diverse. Miles Sanders kind of seems like he's going to be the primary ball carrier for the rest of the season, or at least that's what it's trending to look like. But Kenneth Gainwell is still getting that sort of passing down work, that 2-minute work. So I would like Kenny G here. The good Kenny G, not actual Kenny G. And then JD McKissic with Brian Robinson starting this week or making his return, let's just say debut. I don't really want a part of that offense with McKissic getting the 3rd touches. So I'll go Palmer and Gainwell.
Yeah, I think that could work out well. We've got our first super chat coming in of the day from our man Paz.
What's up, Paz? Start 2, full PPR, Penny, Algier, David Montgomery, and Raheem Mostert. Wow. Okay, so Algier's off the table, just going up against the Bucks. Even if he does get a lot of volume, I don't want it. I don't want it.
I think I'd be rolling with the penny stocks and slotting in a returning David Montgomery.
Yeah, Penny and Montgomery is where I would go. If this was a deeper league and you didn't have those options, Mostert is one. Like that's a situation where between him and Edmonds, the tides have changed, right? Like Mostert is getting now 70% of the snaps, and Edmonds is sort of being relegated to 3rd down work. So I still wouldn't start Mostert over Montgomery. So yeah, Penny, Montgomery, put your studs in and let them do what they do.
No, agreed. And thanks as always for the weekly support there, Paz. Very much appreciated.
Look at this one, Scotty. Go Astros. The baseball chat.
You know what?
Go
Astros. Topic. Absolutely. Just steamroll those Mariners because that hurt a lot.
Our guy Lando, I misread the report here. Isaiah McKenzie is inactive, not active. So he's more of a flex play for some people, but just to correct myself, thanks, Lando. Appreciate you. That's what we got. I'm lost what to do with my running backs and flex position in this standard league. Pretty close matchup. My options are CMC, Herbert, Wilson, Algier, ETN, and Drake London. So the running back, I mean, we're obviously going with Christian McCaffrey. He's the running back 5 on the season. Hasn't had the big game yet, but the volume has absolutely been there for him. On the ground, through the air, he's being used. So the big game is coming for him. Herbert, you can no longer play with Montgomery coming back. Jeff Wilson is as steady as they come. Total yards after scrimmage has been very, very consistent. So if I had to choose, I'd probably go CMC and Wilson. That would be a nice little safety play.
Yeah,
Because you're not gonna get points for catching the ball. I think Wilson is a better option than ETN in London. London goes up against a really tough defense today. Might get a lot of volume, but you're not going to get those points. So who's going to get the more yardage there? I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, I'd go for sure with CMC. That's a given. Might trend a little bit on the riskier side with London, just to see if he can pull it off. But yeah, I do think Wilson has the higher floor. So I think London always has that potential for an explosive game that could win you your week. But he also, against that defense, he also could kind of lose you your week if he gets blanketed well enough.
Right. Josh Jacobs or Kareem Hunt. Because we haven't had any scoring settings or league format input here, we'll just assume half PPR. I would still go Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, I mean, I'm always someone to readily fade Josh Jacobs, but you can't really argue with the results that you were seeing last week. So in that split backfield in Cleveland, I'm gonna start Josh Jacobs with as much confidence as I can in that gentleman. So that's my pick as well.
The one thing with him is that, I don't necessarily love Josh Jacobs. He had a big performance last week, but the one thing you can't take away from is the volume that he's been getting. And Kareem Hunt is, he's the second option to Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb is, going to lead the league in rushing yards up until this point. So tough to go with the secondary option over a primary option. So I'll go Josh Jacobs there.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper or Juju. Again, just a friendly reminder, please include the scoring settings and league format with your questions. So, if you're asking us a quarterback question and it's a 2 QB or super flex league, let us know that. If you're giving us a question like this, wide receiver or wide receiver, tell us if it's a half, a full, a standard. That does play into our decision just slightly. And the Giants almost score. Amari Cooper or Juju, who you liking this week, Scotty?
I think I'd ride with Cooper.
Yeah,
Juju feels like every week he's in that shiny offense. Will this be the week? I think I'm at the point where I'd rather him have that week on my bench when it comes.
And they play the Raiders on Monday night. Should be a great game, but this is like, if we're talking full PPR here, the volume that Cooper sees versus Juju, that full point per reception does make enough of a difference where I would go, yeah, Cooper. If this is a standard league, it's more of a toss-up. You're really just like, who's going to get the touchdown? I still think that Cooper's in a good spot against a Chargers defense who's struggled this year. So I'm going to go with Cooper as well.
Yeah,
kind of regardless. Lando needing a little bit of help in a standard. Who plays in standard scoring leagues anymore? What is that? Hollywood Brown or J.K. Dobbins? I am going to go with Brown.
Yeah, me as well. He's been the shining beacon of fantasy hope in that offense. I really don't know if I feel good with about a few other people in that offense slotting them in as a Kyler Murray starter. But yeah, his relationship with Hollywood Brown has been dynamite from the fantasy perspective.
If you are watching and with us and liking the answers you're getting or enjoying the content, please leave a like on the stream. Goes a long way to supporting the channel. We got to Paz, our guy, Jacob Schneider, full PPR, Montgomery, Sanders, or Damian Pierce. This is a tough one. This is a tough one indeed. This is kind of like where having a little bit of context would be helpful. Are you behind? Are you ahead? Trying to pick like safety versus upside is one that would would help. What do you think? Montgomery, Sanders, Pierce?
Sanders actually looked like the guy Landon's always wanted him to be. It's recently.
What do you mean? I was
So
on Damian Pierce. That
yeah,
was my
that's
guy.
oh no, Miles Sanders. I feel like for
Oh,
years
Sanders. Yeah.
Landon has been just loving Sanders, but yeah. Oh, that is tough. I mean, Montgomery's coming back from an injury, so
Right.
that's always a little bit of risk right in there. Sanders did look very good. I think I'd roll with Sanders this week.
Yeah, my answer is going to be Sanders too. The Jaguars defense currently number 7 against the pass and number 3 against the run. A very good defense to start the year. Limited sample size for sure, but Damian Pierce might be in tough. Like he might get a lot of work, but it might not amount to a whole lot. Miles Sanders, though, going up against the Cardinals have been very poor. Like their secondary is about as bad as it gets in the NFL. That might open up the passing game, let Miles Sanders do what he does. I think Miles Sanders is the play. Montgomery's tempting, but like coming back off of injury, you never know what the snap share will look like. Just don't take that chance and go with Sanders. He's been cooking.
Yep.
PPR flex, Brandon Cooks or David Montgomery. I'll still go Brandon Cooks. I'll just sit Montgomery down unless I have, no other options and I have to play him. But
Yeah, Brandon Cooks
Cooks.
He's that guy that no one wants him at draft time. It seems no one is happy to trade for him, but the man produces with
He does.
pretty solid efficiency.
And we have a touchdown in the Packers-Giants game. I believe it was Saquon Barkley. Looking like it's going to be a tie game heading into the fourth quarter here. It was not Saquon Barkley. That's gonna annoy you, some of you Saquon Barkley owners. It was the backup.
I believe
Bridgewell.
Saquon is injured or
shoulder injury. I didn't know if he had come back yet. Yep.
Yeah.
If Amon-Ra St. Brown is out, pick one to start at the flex. Well, we don't have to go through that rogue because he is expected to play today. So put Amon-Ra in your lineup. If you're not feeling that, Isaiah McKenzie is out. Devin Duvernay will have some increased value if Rashad Bateman is out. Conklin is I just wouldn't start. I just wouldn't start any of those guys. So yeah, roll with your guy. Kamara, James Robinson, Miles Sanders, Jeff Wilson, or Stevenson for the running back 2. Have CMC at running back 1. Man, I think James Robinson and Miles Sanders are both in great spots. I wouldn't be willing to roll out Kamara coming back after 4 straight games missed. So I would just go Robinson or Sanders, both in a really good spot. I think we have Robinson just a little bit higher this week than Sanders. So ranking, say Robinson against the Texans. But if you wanted to go Sanders, I don't think that would be a bad choice either.
Yeah, anytime you can start a well-performing RB1 there against the Houston Texans, I'm usually quite pleased to do that.
Landon is saying Bateman is out. I haven't seen that news come across my desk yet, but maybe Lando has an inside track here.
He's certainly out. I've got him in my big league, and he is riding the pine.
Well, I think he's going to be out regardless, but I haven't seen officially if he's out. I know he missed 3 practices though, so let's see what that comes out to. Wilson Jr., Drake London, Curtis Samuel, PPR full. Pick one. It's a tough one.
That is. There's 3 guys that have been, debatably overperforming to start the season. I haven't been willing to believe the Curtis Samuel production will continue all season.
Mm-hmm.
Drake London, as we spoke about, I think his ceiling is through the roof, but the floor is in the basement. Oh boy!
The question is like,
I would want to roll out Drake London again if I had him. I don't have him anywhere, and I wish I'd try to get him.
The thing here for me is that you got Jeff Wilson, who's been super reliable and consistent since taking over as the lead back, and then you've got Drake London, who's been fantastic, but now goes up against the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, I think Wilson for sure is the safe pick. Probably going to get you your 10 points, going to keep you in it, maybe win you the week with consistency, where the other two guys absolutely could post like a 2.7 or something to go with their high ceilings.
It's like you're betting on the volume in a bad matchup versus the probably decent amount of volume in a really good matchup against the Carolina Panthers. So I'm just going to go Jeff Wilson here.
No, I'd go Jeff Wilson as well.
Put the sexy pick on the bench and just go with a guy who's gonna get it done for you. Should I play Mike Williams in case T. Higgins is out? You guys pretty confident he plays? Just don't take the chance late in the slate. If you don't have another option in the Monday night game, or even like, a Tyler Boyd or a Devin Duvernay that you can lean on in case Higgins is out, I would just go Mike Williams. And I think Mike Williams is in just as good of a spot this week as T. Higgins. So, just don't take the chance. Just put Mike Williams in.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing those games is just a recipe for disaster.
James Robinson or Devin Singletary? Absolutely James Robinson for me.
Yeah, it's getting closer. It's getting closer and getting closer. I told you before we got going, I'm actually sitting down James Conner this week for Singletary, and I drafted him as I drafted him to be my depth play. Singletary I drafted to be my backup in
James
case
Conner
of injury. Yeah, and this week in that matchup, I'm thinking, you know what, in that offense, I'm going to see how it goes. That being said, James Robinson for sure.
Please go ahead and hit a like on this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you are brand new. We are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. Our community growing each and every day. Some really, really nice members that we've got. One of the best, Claire Moscow, taking the listener league down by storm right now. 10-team half PPR league projected to win. Always seem to start the wide receiver that gives me heartbreak and bench the one that pops off. So sit one, Debo, CD, or Waddle. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks, Claire. Okay, Debo, absolute starts against the Carolina Panthers. Must play. When it comes down to CD and Waddle, let's just acknowledge that Tua is still out. So Waddle, and also struggling with a bit of an injury, Waddle is one that you could probably temper expectations for. And CeeDee Lamb plays the Rams, so the matchup is not great, but he's been hyper targeted by Cooper Rush. So CD or Waddle, who do you lean this week?
In this case, and only this case, because that's a lot of talent across the board, I'd be sitting down Waddle for the reasons that you listed. CD is dealing with a quote unquote backup quarterback, but we all know he's the starting quarterback for half an NFL season, and CD is clearly his guy. Waddle is injured. He's going to play, it sounds like, but he's still injured as well. So is CD. But at this point, it's like, they've got their starting quarter. One guy has his starting quarterback, and that starting quarterback loves CD. With Waddle, it's a true backup situation, and you have no idea how he's going to feel about who's his go-to guy. Is he going to be super conservative and just not try to lose the game? These are the things, right? You kind of know what you're going to get with Rush. We've already seen it. So I'd be starting Debo, CD, and sitting down Waddle and just kind of watching for next week to see like if the Tua injury, takes as long as you think it should for him to be back, then you probably want to evaluate what type of relationship it looks like he has with a backup.
I mean, Waddle going up against the Jets is just such a good matchup. But we saw last week
on paper, it's phenomenal
for sure, and so was last week. Waddle was limited. Tyreek Hill ended up getting a billion targets because Waddle couldn't stay on the field. He was banged up. He missed a ton of snaps, and the same thing might happen this week. So having this injury designation, which we saw plagued him last week, even in a really good matchup that is tempting, I do think that CD Lamb is the play. So I'm going to go Debo and CD and leave the wide receiver 5 on your bench. It hurts, but I think that's the play, Claire. Meet the woo, Ramondre or Breece in a full PPR. I'm playing Breece, man. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
I
don't
feel
think I
like
can sit
Breece
him
is on
down.
the verge of a little breakout here.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. I mean, there's been a lot of usage on both sides there, but yeah, I think I'd be going with Breece as well.
Yeah, the one thing with Breece Hall is just that his snap share has there's been a change. You know, we saw at the beginning of the year that Michael Carter was sort of dominating the backfield, but since the first two games of the year, 45%, 27%, now we're up to 66% with Breece. We're starting to see some targets, 6 targets last week, 11 the week before. Rush attempts up to 17, a big jump. Season high of 8 before last game, now up to 17. It feels like the future work is now heading to Breece Hall. So I'm expecting a big couple weeks out of Breece. We're really going to see him turn the corner here, I think. We got this one. No need to spam the chat. Some golf chat. Who's hyped for PGA Tour 2K23? Guilty. Guilty as charged.
I'm actually I'm on the sadness bus because I've been waiting for PGA or for EA's PGA Tour, and if anyone was following that, it was supposed to come out in the spring around the Masters, and then in classic EA fashion, they were just like, "Yeah, we're delaying this like I don't know, like a year." So,
Yeah.
psych.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm excited, man. I always like taking the courses that I created in the previous game, transferring them over, and then like revamping them a little bit with some of the new stuff. So hopefully there's some new themes,
Yeah, you
trees,
can add
buildings,
all of
whatever.
Scott's lost golf balls in the Whitewater Woods. That's the enhancement.
I would like to see though, like with the ability to buy clubs and balls and different shafts and stuff. I do want to see the ability to like have a change or impact on your character and their abilities. Like, give me the Tiger Woods back in the day, like attribute changes that come with having equipment changes.
Oh, you're
I think that
preaching to
would
the
be
choir.
fun.
I played a nice 18-hole round at Torrey Pines on Tiger Woods 2014 on the
Oh
PS3
yes,
this morning with my coffee. So I just keep playing the one I love.
this is what happens when the Jays lose.
Oh yeah, I
Take it
know
old
it's my
school.
every morning before work. I love me some Tiger Woods.
Saquon Barkley getting loose for what I believe is about a 40-yard gain here. Giants in the red zone, 28 minutes left in the fourth for those of you not watching. Griffin said, forgot to mention there, it's pick 3. So 2 running back and a flex. Let me see if I can go back and find that question real quick. This one. Okay, so CMC, Herbert, and then I think it would just go Wilson. Wilson over Algier, ETN in London.
Yeah, no, agreed.
That's where I'm at there. Brother, we got you though. Curtis Samuel or Najee Harris, so gross. I don't think that Najee Harris is going to have a good day here, but I would still play Najee Harris because I just think his opportunity is just going to be much larger than Curtis Samuel. But I'm not optimistic for Najee this week.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I said, I'm not a believer in Curtis Samuel for a season-long play, so I'd be starting Najee.
Yep. Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. I mean, in what world do you have to make that decision?
Flip a
I'm
coin.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, really, you got the clear cut tight end one and tight end one slightly under it. So yeah,
When you
I wish I had
say
these
clear
issues.
cut tight end one, I still don't know who you're talking about.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I wish I could give some commentary on that, but I just wish I had this issue on any of my teams.
I'm just gonna say whoever's in your flex, kick them out and start both of these guys.
Yeah, that's the commentary on Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce because they're absolute studs, and I wish I had more shares in either of them.
Yeah. Giants look like they were about to score with Saquon Barkley. There was a flag, and it's gonna illegal formation. Saquon Barkley out of the Wildcat almost scores, and now they're going to be
Classic
backed
Giants.
up 10 yards. So
There's a
unfortunate.
flag on the play.
Sanders or James Conner. PPR looking for a safe floor. Thanks, guys. I'm not playing James Conner if I have the choice.
I'm
Like
trying to
I've said
avoid him
all along
everywhere
with
for
him,
now.
super touchdown dependent running back. Needs to get in the end zone to be relevant for you. I would just go with someone who's been carving defenses in Miles Sanders. So go there, brother.
Yep. No, we all know my thoughts on him this week.
Torn between Montgomery and Garrett Wilson. Interesting.
That is an interesting one.
It's like, okay, what do we feel like the upside is for Garrett Wilson here? It's an okay matchup with the Dolphins, a game script that probably lends to them throwing the ball a lot, but we haven't seen a big week out of Garrett Wilson since week 2.
Yeah.
So targets have been there, but hasn't really gotten it done. Hasn't got back into the end zone since week 2.
Yeah, and when you're in that type of situation, I mean, it's tough because Montgomery is also not a lock by any stretch to have, a huge game, but he is
True.
the starting running back. Minnesota's defense, as we know, has been, we'll call it up and down in their performance. And they do, I feel like they do give up kind of that big play. There's that big play potential. And Montgomery would really only need a bit of daylight to turn it into a pretty good day. I would be surprised if they didn't at least give up one 30 or 40-yard run today, because especially the way our secondary now is held together by just all sorts of gum and tape. I would almost be tempted to just do the safe play, which to me is now, a starting running back who's going to get the volume,
Sure.
who's going to get the work, even coming back off an injury. And once again, if Wilson goes off on your bench, then maybe for going forward that he's a viable option. Where right now, yeah, you're still kind of just living off the hype from what we saw.
He looked like he was a super viable option, and then he's
absolutely
quarterback change from Joe Flacco then to Zach Wilson, limited targets, still on the field a lot, but just not getting the same target share that he was initially. So yeah, the safer play feels like Montgomery here. And if Garrett Wilson does have a big day, there's no way we could have, saw it coming. So I'll go with Montgomery.
Yeah.
Do we think Geno Smith will be able to maintain these wins and numbers throughout the season? I mean, he's absolutely playing at like an MVP level. There's no if you were to take the name off of his production and just look at the numbers, you'd be like, wow, this is someone I want to start week in, week out. And then you see Geno Smith and you're like, same thing with Jared Goff. You're just like, oh,
yeah.
It's a hard thing to keep going. It's definitely something that is almost feels unsustainable, but they've been in really good game scripts, and Rashad Penny looks really solid. So I think things might cool off a little bit, but he absolutely feels like a streamable quarterback at this point, especially in 2 QB or super flex leagues. I think Geno's all right.
Yeah, and Geno's always kind of been an interesting player in the way that, I feel like his career has been, I don't know. I mean, one year wasn't he out for half the year because he got punched in the face by his own teammate?
Who is
there
this?
just seems. Well, didn't Geno break his jaw because he got punched in the face by his own teammate? I'm trying to remember. I feel like the talent he's as far as backup quarterbacks, fill-ins, or transition quarterbacks go. I've always thought he looked like he had a lot of raw talent, especially from a fantasy perspective, because he's mobile. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see him healthy with those weapons like DK and, actual wide receivers, Lockett, guys to throw to. So like you said, it'd be almost foolish to say, yes, he'll maintain this all season long, but he's in a pretty decent offense, at least from what we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't comment on that. I don't remember. In terms of this matchup here, Geno Smith or Trevor Lawrence, I would start Trevor Lawrence today. I do think that the Seahawks today have a really interesting matchup with the New Orleans Saints, and that secondary has been really, really solid. I mean, the New Orleans Saints are allowing the 6th fewest points to opposing fantasy quarterbacks. They are also giving up Let me just get these numbers real quick for wide receivers. They're like middle of the pack here, the New Orleans Saints. But I think the matchup is much tougher for Geno. And I think Trevor Lawrence and the Jags have been doing just fine. That Jags defense is, like I said earlier, number 7 against the pass, number 3 against the rush. Really, really solid. So I'm just going to roll with Trevor. Let them keep things rolling. Hopefully there's a ton of points in this game. Maybe two defenses that just can't stop it. But I do think that the Jags come out on top. So go Trev.
I'd be rolling Lawrence as well. The Jags offense has actually looked pretty cohesive this year.
Brady or Kirk Cousins today?
Oh, that's fun.
I mean, I'll take Brady. I'll take Brady against the Falcons all day.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to remember the Super Bowl for it to way back when to know why you pick Brady against the Falcons. I do think it'll be pretty close, though. I mean, yeah, Cousins. I mean that Chicago defense is also no joke. So I think Brady, but by a bit.
Breece or Ramondre in a full PPR? Help, please. I would go Breece.
Yes, I think we got this question, but from someone else actually, and yeah, still go Breece.
Should I start Duvernay over Waddle, considering Waddle probably won't get many targets with Teddy standard PPR? I'm going to assume that means half PPR, maybe? I don't know. I would just start Waddle, man.
Yeah, I don't have enough faith in Duvernay. I think it's almost overthinking at that point. Waddle is still just electric, and that speed. He has the speed to turn even a 5-yard check down into like a 50-yard score. So I think I'd still just
matchup
roll.
Is still really good too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, yeah, it's a backup quarterback, but that's kind of the thing about those speed guys is like the Tyreek Hills and the Waddles of the world. Like they don't usually need a quarterback who can throw it, 50 yards down the field for them to have that touchdown. If they get a lane, like once again, a 5-yard check down, a 12-yard slant or something becomes a 60-yard score. So yeah, I'd say don't overthink it. Slot in Waddle.
And I could absolutely see the path to a bigger role and bigger plays from Duvernay with Bateman presumed out. I don't know.
I could see it, but as somebody who has faith in Bateman and has been starting him week in, week out and watching those games, like I still don't think necessarily the Baltimore passing attack is the end all be all of passing attacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
And like, it's great having Tyreek Hill on the field one way or the other, because he's going to be getting double covered. So I still think Waddle, I still think he has great opportunities this week to put up fantasy points.
Njoku or Goddard?
That's pretty neck and neck.
I'm going to go with Goddard here. The Arizona Cardinals giving up the third most points to opposing tight ends, 16.5 per game. And Dallas Goedert is one who commands a workload week in and week out. So I'm going to go Goddard here.
Yeah, I'm giving Goddard the edge as well.
Also, Devontae Smith, Drake London, Garrett Wilson. That was for AJ's question. Never mind. I assume this just means pick one, and I'm going to go with Devontae Smith.
Yeah, me too.
David Montgomery or Garrett Wilson? Oh, we got that one. No need to repeat questions, guys. We get to every single one. We did say Montgomery there. Full PPR, pick a tight end, Njoku or Disley. I will go Njoku there.
Yep, taking that volume.
Tate Fitzgibbons, Miles Sanders or Chris Olave?
Oh, that's a fun one. That's a fun question. Ooh.
Oh man, again, this is where it'd be really nice to know, are you favored? Are you an underdog? Because if you're the underdog, I would just say Chris Olave.
He's definitely got the high ceiling.
But Miles Sanders, I mean, his reliability has been pretty solid, and Arizona's just a horrendous defense. So I want to just say go with Miles Sanders. Chris Olave, though, is probably going to go bananas today.
I mean, I think that's the way you got to look at it. Is the safe play is Miles Sanders, and if if you're behind and you need you don't just need a 10-point game, you need like a 20-point game. Yeah, I'd say Chris Olave is definitely your play because he can always just completely go off. So starting running back, safe play, stud rookie, super exciting play. So kind
I'm
of
going to
depends
say
what you
Miles
need.
Sanders.
I'm going to say Miles Sanders probably ends up being the smarter pick. So
Yep.
go there unless you need an absolute bomb to go off.
Mason Strickland. Which two should I start? Olave, Curtis Samuel, and Marquise Brown. I'm going to sit Curtis Samuel and go Olave and Brown.
100%.
Michael Montanez. Half PPR need a flex. Waddle, Connor, Godwin. Chris Godwin would be the play for me.
Yeah, risky, kind of all over those three. Injuries everywhere, but I'd roll the dice with Godwin there, who really outside of Evans, I think is going to be the main look.
Like Waddle, don't want to take a chance with him banged up and having Teddy Bridgewater there. Connor, just not a fan of playing. Again, I think he's touchdown dependent. Godwin, great matchup. Brady's playing, and he's healthy. And we know when he's healthy, he's elite. So just go Godwin.
Yeah.
Everett or Waller at the tight end position. I just don't know how you get away from Darren Waller against the Chiefs. Feels like a smash matchup.
Yeah, I think, don't overthink it. Start your stud. Darren Waller still, especially in this tight end landscape, is still a top tier guy.
Yep. Dave G. Thomas, the Wendy's owner, have two flex position opened. I got Chase Edmonds, Rashad Penny, or Josh Reynolds. Rashad Penny has to be one of them.
Absolutely.
Josh Reynolds takes a downgrade with Amon-Ra St. Brown playing today. Chase Edmonds has been disappointing. I think between the two of them, you probably just go Chase Edmonds, though.
Yeah, especially with a backup quarterback, maybe they lean heavily on the run. Try to not lose the game in the air, and like I said, maybe be a bit more conservative with like check down plays to their speed guys. So that might open it up for Edmonds to be one of those guys.
I don't disagree, Boss Ben. Packers defense has been non-existent today. Yeah, tough. Everett or Njoku and St. Brown or Drake London full PPR. Just concerned if St. Brown is healthy enough. I would go St. Brown. Matchup is much better than it is for Drake London going up against the Bucks. So even though there should be a lot of volume for London, I don't know if it necessarily amounts to a ton. In terms of Everett or Njoku, this one truly a toss-up. They play each other. They both seem like secondary options there in their offense, like Njoku second to Cooper and Everett second to Mike Williams. So this is just a coin flip, my man. I'll go with the better quarterback though. So Everett will be the play with Herbert in over Jacoby Brissett. That's how I'll break that tie.
Agreed. And we've got our next super chat question of the day.
Hey, Francisco. Ramondre Stevenson or one of the Bears running backs as the RB2. So Montgomery or Stevenson?
I think I'd run with Montgomery still. I mean, believe me, I love the Vikings, but I mean, anyone who actually watched our entire safety situation just get absolutely picked apart physically and end up on the IR or out. I'm just feeling like there is that potential for Montgomery to get loose for, just a couple 20, 30, 40-yard runs. There's potential there. So I think I'd roll out Montgomery.
I'm going to be no help. I'm going to go Stevenson.
Oh, there we go. I mean, I'd love for Stevenson to be the right answer. Don't get me wrong.
The reason why I say Stevenson is the Detroit Lions have proven in their games, scoring, or averaging some of the most point totals in the entire league, that their defense cannot stop anybody. And that there's going to be a lot of scoring in their games. And if that trend continues, I think Stevenson, I think Harris can both have good days. I don't know the same exists for Montgomery and Herbert going up against the Vikes. So I'm going to say Stevenson in just a game that hopefully there's a ton of points in, can get a share of those points. So I'm going to go with Stevenson, Francisco.
And as someone still starting the Vikings defense in 3 leagues, I really hope that you're right. So you know what? I'll just say Stevenson. Let's go Stevenson.
Hey, let's go. We got our guy Warren here, full PPR, pick a wide receiver in a flex. A-Rob, Corey Davis, Singletary, Freiermuth, Rondell Moore, Tyler Algier. I lost Taylor and Cordero Patterson to IR this week. Taylor not on IR. He was a little bit banged up, left the game, couldn't make the quick turnaround on the short week, but he is absolutely cleared to play for next week. So Taylor not on IR. Just want to clear that one up. Pick a wide receiver in a flex. Corey Davis and Rondell Moore, I just don't know that you can start. Corey Davis kind of flashed last week, but I'm still gonna hold out hope for Allen Robinson. As much as it sucks to say, Singletary or Algier, who do you like there?
I think I'd go Singletary. I think he's got a good I think he's got a good matchup this week, and I mean he's been quite reliable. This is his backfield now, where like last week Moss and the crew, I think they were relegated to like maybe 3 or 4 touches. So that offense is humming. He's catching balls. Like I said, I sat down Connor for Singletary. I am really hoping and have a good feeling about this week. So I think I'd roll Singletary.
Yeah, I think I would as well. Do we trust Miles Sanders over Josh Jacobs? Yes.
Yes.
I think both are good plays this week.
Jacobs had a good game last week. And obviously, if you want to see if he can keep the Lightning going, I get it. But, Miles Sanders has looked really good in that offense as well, too. And I think season long, I have a lot more faith in Miles Sanders on that Philly offense.
Packers go for it on 4th and 2 and do not get it. They are going to lose to the New York Giants.
The look in your eyes just looks like me last night.
Back-to-back plays, passes batted down or thrown into a helmet. It's just just choke the game. They absolutely choked the game.
Yep. No, that was couldn't close. That's I know the pain well. The inability to close when you feel like you have what should be a pretty sizable lead, almost insurmountable, some might say.
I mean, this game was 17-3 at one point. So
yes,
that's awesome. Njoku, Drake London, Singletary, Curtis Samuel for the flex in a full PPR. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I almost want to say that might be my breaking point where Drake London, I would trot him out.
That's where I'm at.
With Singletary. I mean, compared to a tight end, albeit with some volume, and Njoku and Curtis Samuel, who in that offense, I still think, out of all of them, I still think he's kind of like the grenade that if there's a guy who's going to post like a 0 or a 2, I think it would be Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I'm going to go Drake London. I mean, I just can't start a tight end over Drake London. I just can't do it.
Especially not that one.
Stuart Rose. I'm fairly set with my team this week. Just thought I'd check on Mike Williams. Previously dropped him at the wrong time. I do remember that. Have Corey Davis and Deontay Johnson on the bench. Stick or twist. Ooh. I would just go Mike Williams, man.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah. Ooh, Packers might get the ball back. I forgot they had some timeouts. It's 3rd down right now. Minute left. 1 timeout on Green Bay. This game could get interesting down to the wire. There's a little bit of hope, but they still need a touchdown to tie. Yeah, go Mike
he will shut this stream down if they.
I will shut. Yeah. Tight end for this week, Tyler Conklin or Dalton Schultz in a full PPR. I believe that Dalton Schultz is expected to make his return this week. I'll just go with someone who's been hot and Tyler Conklin. So,
yeah, ride the hot hand if those are your options.
Olave or Jalen Waddle, I'll go Chris Olave this week.
Absolutely. There's just too many variables going on with Jalen Waddle. If you have that awesome option.
Sit 1.5 PPR. Brown, Godwin, Debo, Devontae Smith. I mean, you just got to sit down. Okay, you got to start Godwin and Debo. Let's just start there. But who do you sit between Brown and Smith?
Man, that is really, really tough. I almost want to give the edge to Brown just because game scripts have dictated that Arizona seems to always need to go down by 25 points in like the first half and then try to throw bombs to Hollywood just to make it remotely close.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brown as well. Brown, Godwin, Debo, book it. You know, Eric, I've just become numb to it all at this point. I knew that this season wasn't going to be what it could be, but Packers are going to get the ball back with about 10 seconds left, and it's not going to matter. This is set. I will say this now, though. First, I'm fun. This is setting up for an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary situation.
Most certainly is. Best in the game at it, so we'll see what happens.
Nothing will top that. Easy. Nothing.
Thanks again for Jefferson.
I can't believe the Giants are 3-1, potentially 4-1 either. It's wild. Matt Tenney, back to scheduled programming. James Robinson or Jamal Williams. Also Mike Williams or Jalen Waddle. Thank you. I mean, Jamal Williams, currently the running back 6 on the year, with or without DeAndre Swift, has continued to be awesome. So I just don't know how you stray from Jamal Williams at this point. So I think that's where I'm going to go. And then Williams or Waddle, I'm going to go with the guy who's projecting to play more, who's healthier. So I'll go Mike Will. Even though it feels like Mike Will's always banged up, I'll go with Williams. How would you play this one?
No, I think I'd go the same. I mean, I think James Robinson, I think it's close for sure, in that offense. But I think I'd roll with the hot hand there of Williams, especially with all the questions around Swift. And I mean, Mike Williams, he's been playing injured forever. So let's roll with him. Waddle, you never know if this could be actually, this could limit him.
Matt, roll Williams and Williams. It's the way it goes. Start one running back, one flex. Hunt, Connor, or Gibson. Oh boy. Okay. This is gonna sound silly. Kareem Hunt is a lock for me. I have these options.
Yeah, I have no issue with that take on it.
Okay, Connor and Gibson.
Is this the point where I finally say, I guess maybe you start Connor? I still think maybe, I guess Gibson. I don't love either option, but maybe that's. I guess if I'm out on Connor this week, I'm just out on him.
I'm gonna go Connor over Gibson. The only reason I say that is because Brian Robinson. The Giants are going to take an intentional safety and give the Packers the ball back with probably just less than 10 seconds, probably just for field position, but 27-22 right now. Interesting. Oh, there's a flag on the play as well. I'll go Hunt and Connor. Gibson with Brian Robinson coming back. I don't want to have to guess the splits between Gibson, Robinson, and JD McKissick. So I'm just going to get away from that Hunt, Connor, and we'll see what comes.
Fair enough.
Gabe Davis or Devontae Smith? Who do you like here at the wide receiver position this week, Scott?
I'm a big Gabe Davis fan. I make that well known, but I think I'd roll with Devontae Smith until Gabe Davis can at least show that, he's fully healthy. I don't know what's going on with that ankle, but he sure hasn't put up huge numbers.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you can rely on him right now, even though they're fairly close in our rankings. Devontae Smith probably just the better play at this point. Start. Oh, we got this one already, but he threw in Lockett and Thielen. So back to the drawing board here.
Yeah.
Hunt, Gibson, Connor, Lockett, and Thielen. I would start Thielen over Connor and Gibson.
We have 9 targets last week. It's like they woke up and realized that they, maybe should use like a prime red zone threat that they just seem to ignore for the first few weeks. So
They go
hopefully that
hunting
continues.
Thielen.
Yep.
Packers get the ball out to the 40. They're going to have 7 seconds left. That might be enough time for 2 plays. Maybe they can get like a quick play to the sideline, get out, and then toss one at the end zone. But there might be some Aaron Rodgers magic left in the tank here for the win.
If anybody's going to do it, it'd be Rodgers.
Started 2-0, now 2-2 with big injury hits. Oh, man, every week. Strikers, I feel your pain, man. In a dynasty league this week, I have no Jonathan Taylor, no DeAndre Swift, no Javonte Williams. A team that was just chugging along now in full struggles. I feel your pain. But that's why you're here. Keep it locked and loaded. We'll hit the waiver wire. We'll make some trades.
I just picked up my flex as we were going on the air in my big league because I have that many outs and game time decisions. So that always feels great when you're literally slotting in a waiver wire wide receiver.
We have a flag here. False start on the offense. David Bakhtiari, the man that probably should not make make mistakes, but the Packers are going back 5 yards with 7 seconds left. This is looking more and more improbable. Full PPR, Jamal Williams or Damian Harris. I'm going to stick with Jamal Williams.
Yep, riding with Williams again.
Thanks, boys. Last message, I hit enter early. It happens, but we got you. Make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you liked what you heard. Aaron Rodgers scrambling here, and he is not going to get the Hail Mary off. It is a fumble recovered by the Packers, and game over. Giants win.
Yeah, I hate to see that.
April, PPR, full PPR, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary, Breece Hall, pick 2 to play. Even though I'm not thrilled for the outlook of Harris, I will go Harris and Hall.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm tempted to go Harris and Singletary just to further my belief in Singletary this week.
AJ Dillon. Yeah, you know what? Like the Packers being on goal to go twice and passing. One on a screen pass to Alan Lazard, which was a beautiful play, and then also the play action to AJ Dillon, the fake to Christian Watson on the sweep, and then just a wide open Mercedes Lewis. Like both plays were beautifully executed, but you just expect to get 33 or 28 a look on the goal line. So, him only getting 3.4 is, yes, definitely one that hurts. I expected more out of the whole team. So to lose this game is tough.
It never feels good to lose to the Giants, even when they go to 4-1.
No. Pick one in a pick one for the flex in a full PPR. Waddle, Edmonds, Herbert, and Woods. I'll just go with Waddle.
Yeah, Woods, as you mentioned earlier in the stream, has a lot more intrigue this week than normally. But I still think if you don't overthink it, Waddle's still the electric one in this group.
Agreed. And like Edmonds, the workload just hasn't been there. The snap share hasn't been there. Herbert is having Montgomery come back. Woods is the only one I would consider pivoting off with Treylon Burks to IR. But at the same time, it's like Waddle is just so much better than Woods, even if potentially limited. Even with Teddy Bridgewater, I think I still go with Waddle.
Yeah, as we talked about Waddle, when they're that fast and they're that skilled, any type of check down is always a potentially like week winning play when it's a guy like Waddle.
Exactly.
Just has to break right.
Here's a tough one. Najee Harris or J.K. Dobbins?
Oh, I'm going to say Dobbins with Bateman out. Like, I feel like they're going to be in for quite a running day there, but I don't know.
I'm also going to say J.K. Dobbins.
I think there's way more potential there. And God, I never that feels wrong to say, but I really do think Dobbins has more. Like, I think the volume should be there today. Yeah, Najee just hasn't shown it necessarily. It's not that I think it's his fault, really, but just in that offense right now, there's a lot of question marks going on in that offense.
Tons. Yeah, tons.
Yeah.
No, I'll go Dobbins. It's
Yeah.
gross to say. This is my team for this week: Herbert, Cooper, Davis, Eckler, Najee, Mark Andrews, Garrett Wilson, flex, and Bills defense. Good. Sweet.
That's the team.
Get us a question, my man. Star 2, McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis in a standard league. Okay, so you're making the choice between McLaurin and Samuel. I'm always gonna pick McLaurin. And if you can't start McLaurin this game, when can you start him? Is what it really comes down to. Between Wilson and Davis, I'll still start Wilson. So McLaurin and Wilson are the plays for me. I wouldn't recommend starting two guys from the same team if you had other options. So if you want to pick Samuel over McLaurin, sure. I think Garrett Wilson is a start for you here. And then you choose your commanders, but a wide receiver. But I wouldn't start, McLaurin and Samuel or Wilson and Davis. I would pick one of each.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I always default to Scary Terry. Just look at his contract hit number, and that's why I'll always pick him over Curtis Samuel.
Tell me 3 weeks earlier that Dobbins over Najee, and I'd laugh. Now it's all too real.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. That's the nightmare we were living in at this point.
That's exactly what it is.
Do I start CeeDee Lamb over Marquise Brown today as my wide receiver 2? Really, really close. Like this could literally be a coin flip as to who has the bigger day. I do think that CeeDee's a better player, so I'll go with CeeDee.
Yeah, but totally close, as the game scripts with Arizona really has favored, the exact build of a Hollywood Brown. So we'll see.
I traded AJ Brown for Jamar Chase. Thoughts? Oh man, like this is the problem with these trades, is that they are so lateral, and AJ Brown has been better so far than Jamar Chase. It feels like you maybe could have got a little bit more, like you could have bought a little lower on Jamar Chase, where this just kind of feels like lateral. And you didn't really pick up a bye week or anything either. So I'm a fan of having Jamar Chase, but AJ Brown's been great. So I would have liked to see you sell a little higher on AJ Brown. But if it was the other way around, I would have just held Chase. But I don't know. It's lateral. I'm indifferent on that one.
Yeah, I think time. I mean, that's one of those, like you said, when it's lateral, only time will tell, really. If, in the long run of the season, Chase goes back to getting huge numbers, or if Brown continues to find great success where he's landed.
Yep. Pick 2 in a full PPR: Dameon Pierce, Garrett Wilson, Hunter Renfrow, and Robert Woods. Who do you like?
I think this might be.
Hold on real quick, Scotty. Let me just double check here that Gator Fan is not asking for help in the listener league, because that is a no-no.
Oh, he's got Connor on that list as well.
We've got Robert Woods. Okay, he's safe. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so
down. I think Robert Woods this week, actually, as we've discussed, he's got a lot more opportunity than he normally does. Yeah.
I'm going to go Pierce and Wilson. You could twist my arm into Woods over Wilson. But Pierce, I think, is an absolute start here. From there, I think it's up to you, Wilson or Woods. I would probably go Wilson.
Yeah, I think they're very close this week. So once again, maybe Woods actually has a bit of a. I'd almost think he has a bit of a better floor, just because they really have to rely on throwing to somebody.
Adding Connor to the list makes it a little bit closer. Pierce and Connor, not a bad duo to put together. We just know that James Conner doesn't get a ton of passing work. Eno Benjamin's kind of been playing that role for them, like Chase Edmonds did last year. So it's not like we get a big boost. If you're playing James Conner, you're hoping for a touchdown. I'm still going to roll a Garrett Wilson. Pierce, Wilson, be my guys.
Yep.
Should I bench Olave, Kirk, Hollywood for McLaurin in a full PPR? I would play Olave over McLaurin.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I would also play Hollywood over McLaurin.
Yeah, Kirk would be the only one that potentially I could be.
They're like, yeah, they're very equal.
Yeah.
The game script is going to be really good for the Jags, though. I have an offer for Mahomes, and I get Mark Andrews and Eckler. I have Kyler Murray with me, too. Do I do it? Depends who your current tight end is, but I would say yes.
Yeah, Mark Andrews so far has been kind of the almost the only like reliable fantasy piece of that puzzle, not named Lamar Jackson.
Like having to choose between Mahomes and Kyler every single week might be difficult. Whereas if you just roll out Kyler every single week, who is like a plug and play quarterback, and then you get the benefit of having the tight end one on the year alongside having Eckler to play as RB2 or flex, like I would rather have more options in my skill positions than having to debate between Mahomes and Kyler and leaving points on the bench.
Yeah, because you're gonna pick wrong at least 40% of the time. So, yeah, that's the problem when you end up with two guys like that.
Current tight end is Darren Waller. I still probably do it, dude. Honestly, there's no point in having two elite quarterbacks like that, unless it's a 2 QB league.
Yeah, and then you're just setting yourself up to be mad when you pick the wrong game every week.
Which DST this week, Rams or Eagles? I'll play the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm giving away Christian Kirk and Najee. What running back or wide receiver would you look to get in return? It's questions like this, Brendan, are so tough because it's not, trades are not just a, one for one or what looks good on paper will work. The biggest thing that people neglect to factor into their trades is the needs of the other manager. Like I could tell you right now, Christian Kirk and Najee Harris might be able to, upgrade you to like a Dalvin Cook. But if the Dalvin Cook owner doesn't need wide receiver help, then it gives you, there's no way it'll work. So I think what you have to do is, one, join the Discord because we can give you some more targeted feedback on your trades. But number two, try to find somebody who's wide receiver needy or running back needy and look to upgrade, at a position they're strong in. So if they have 3 or 4 good running backs to choose from, but only one decent wide receiver, give them Christian Kirk, who's been great, plus a Najee to replace, and go get like Jonathan Taylor, go do something like that. So that's what I would say. You need to look at your opponent's needs and fulfill that need with a trade than just saying, who should these two get me? Because in a perfect world that would work, but that's not the world we live in with fantasy.
Nope. Well said.
Vikings or Bills? I would go Bills. No question. They're going to steamroll the Steelers this week.
Yes. Once again, if you need something to push you over the edge on that one, check out our secondary right now, the Vikings D, before you debate who you're going to roll out.
I'm already starting Ryan Tannehill in my 2 QB league, and as these other two guys are playing each other, would you rather have Stafford or Rush this week, and is it close? As bad as Matt Stafford has been, I would still probably start him over Tannehill.
Yeah, I agreed to everything you just said. He was one of those guys that Stafford was one of the sneaky guys that it looked like if you could get him at his average draft position, might be a guy who gives you a real edge this season. And nope, not so far.
No, not even.
But I still would roll him out this week over Rush.
Just got to adjust my lineup. Rashad Bateman officially out.
Yep. No, absolutely out.
Man. Team looks so good, Scotty. Now it's just falling apart.
I have so many O's on my bench.
Oh,
Literally
man.
Every single slot is an out.
It's crazy.
Oh, this is going to be just a filthy week. Devontae Parker as an actual wide receiver, not an emergency flex, but he's one of my wide receivers. Oh, the pain. The pain, the pain, the pain. I need Kirk Cousins to just go off this week. And I don't know if Chicago's the defense that's going to happen against. But Devontae
Tyler
Parker
Garrett.
as WR2 does not feel great.
No. Tyler Garrett asking, should we start Thielen, Zeke, Montgomery, or Zay Jones at the flex in a full PPR? Thielen or Zeke is essentially what this question is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, Thielen got 9 targets last week. He was looking.
Yep.
It looks
Starting
like
to come around.
they want to definitely involve him in the offense. That Zeke Pollard weekly debate.
I just don't know if you could start Zeke Elliott, especially against the Rams. Like the confidence is just not there.
No. I mean, once again, if if Pollard gets the score, then like Zeke is going to be in for quite a mediocre day. Thielen's going to get
in
red
for
zone.
a mediocre day no matter what.
Yeah, and I think I honestly believe Thielen's in for at least a couple of red zone looks today, and he really just needs to get one to go with the almost guaranteed few catches now that they've woken up on the offensive side.
I'm going to start Adam Thielen here.
Yeah, I am as well.
Oof. Hoping Chase and Higgins make up for me this week. Yes, they do. They do well against the Ravens. Going forward, what do you see as the ceilings for the likes of Rashad Bateman, Hunter Renfrow, Garrett Wilson this season? Rashad Bateman, I'd like to see more volume out of. We really just seen him build some fantasy value on bigger plays. I want to see him have, 8, 9, 10 reception games. I want to see him be a primary target along with Mark Andrews. We just haven't seen it from him. Hunter Renfrow, I think, is getting a little lost in the mix, having Darren Waller and Devontae Adams just kind of dominating target share. And then Josh Jacobs has been really productive on the ground. So he's kind of been lost in translation with his injury, with some of these bigger pieces taking more attention. I don't think we're going to see what we saw at Hunter Renfrow last year, if that's what you're asking. And then Garrett Wilson, probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, rookie wide receiver. I do think that he has a big year. He might finish as like a top 30 wide receiver on the year. So I think I'm most optimistic about Wilson. I want to see a little bit more volume for Bateman, and I don't have any hope for Renfrow. Anything to add, Scotty?
I think I agree with all of that. As anyone who's owned Bateman, like myself, and like you said, it's the kind of the week in, week out story of him posting next to no points for about 80% of the game, and then he has been able to salvage the week with the big 60-yard catch, 50-yard catch. Like that's where it's always been, which is, I mean, it's super fun when it happens, but you spend 3/4 of the game thinking he's going to cost you your week. And it's a risky way to live and die as a fantasy owner. So I absolutely would love to see a bit of volume in there. You want your wide receiver to be like cresting at least 5 points at halftime. You don't want it all to come in one make or break 60-yard strike. So,
but it does.
But it does.
It does.
You never get that. Like, he's 7 points. He's doing all right. No, it's like he's at 1. This is killing me.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks or Ramondre Stevenson in the flex in a full PPR. Peyton, I'm going to go Brandon Cooks there.
Yeah, myself as well.
Who has the biggest rest of season upside? George Pickens, Rashad Bateman, or Romeo Doubs? I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman still.
Yeah, same. I mean, I do think he still is the wide receiver 1 in that offense when healthy. And it's just about, like you said, getting him involved like a wide receiver 1, not just kind of a streaky, fast wide receiver you throw a couple bombs to.
Yep. Do we like Tyler Lockett going forward? And does Geno Smith have staying power? I just don't know where else they go at quarterback. Like, Geno's been great. Drew Lock has lost the job as far as I'm concerned. And Tyler Lockett with Geno's been been decent. So
I mean, really, and this season, it's not like there's a bunch of like super talented quarterbacks floating around on the waiver wire, just like waiting for a quarterback to go down. There's look at the Matt Ryans of the world. Like, I don't see them with the success he's been having actively shopping right now to replace him.
is this a real question? You cannot start Bailey Zappi. You can't.
No. You're going Geno, even just for his weapons. Like that's part of this discussion for me from a fantasy perspective is like, yes, the numbers had been a little underwhelming, but like DK Metcalf a year or two ago, like you would have sold half your team to get that guy. He's still who you get to throw to.
Peyton, he's not him. He's not. He wouldn't have fallen that far in the draft if he was. In my opinion, you have to start the guy over a 4-game sample size that's been the quarterback 10 on the year over a later drafted rookie who's getting his first start. So, no, he's not him. Brian Hoyer got the start over Bailey Zappi. Let's not forget that.
Well,
Mid 30-year-old Brian Hoyer.
Sounds like a fun comparison to keep an eye on this week. Geno or Zappi, and hey, we'll see what happens. Always fun.
I'll take Geno.
I will also take Geno.
Start 3: Smith, JK, James Conner, Davis, Woods, Hall, MVS, full PPR. I don't know which Smith. I'm going to assume Devontae Smith.
Yeah, let's just assume. You can let us know in the chat if that is not the case. And if that is the case, I'd be rolling with Smith.
Okay, so let's just eliminate. It is Devontae Smith. Okay, let's eliminate some people here. MVS is out for me.
For sure.
I assume this is Breece Hall. So Breece Hall is in for me. J.K. Dobbins would be in for me. And Devontae Smith would be in. So Smith, Dobbins, and Hall. I'm with you on Gabe Davis. I want to see that ankle. I want to see him reinsert himself into this offense. So yes, I'm going to go Smith, J.K., Hall. I think Hall has a good couple weeks here.
Yeah, no, those are my picks as well. Same thing. Got to see it from guys like Gabe Davis again. That makes you believe they're healthy enough for them to be a focal point outside of Diggs.
Peyton, you let me know next week how Zappi went for you, him over Geno. Let me know.
We will be watching.
I want you to check back in.
To see. Yes,
I want you to check back in, good, bad, or ugly. I want you to let me know. I hope I'm so wrong. Higgins for Mike Evans. I already have Chase and Cup. If you want to get away from relying on 2 Bengals wide receivers, you can absolutely do so with Mike Evans. The upside of having Higgins and Chase, offense is good, should get better, and you get the kind of big game because if one of them gets the blanket cover, the other one seems to produce. So you can kind of play for the big game there. I think it does limit your upside. I would rather Mike Evans, though. Just a little bit of diversity.
Yeah, and Mike Evans has really been, outside of suspension, has been the only wide receiver in that offense to stay healthy. So,
yeah,
I mean, at the start of another start of a season of, oh my God, look at that receiving core, and who's Tom Brady going to throw the ball to this week? Seems to be most of the Tampa Bay offense so far.
Mm-hmm. Have Elijah Mitchell in my IR slot. What do you think about him when he comes back? That's been the biggest problem with Elijah Mitchell over the last 2 seasons now, is that he is always injured. He'll give you some elite production and then injured, and then comes back and he's great injured. So like CMC effect. I'm not optimistic for him when he comes back. I think by the time he comes back, which is still a month away, we're going to see Jeff Wilson involved. We might see Tyrion Davis-Price involved. It might be more of a committee than we want. And there's been a cool stat. I think it was the last 6 seasons, no San Francisco running back has repeated as the leading rusher So you might see this happen again this year where Jeff Wilson just earns the job when Mitchell comes back. So I'm
It's
very
always risky when they're
hesitant.
coming off the IR too, from a fantasy perspective, because they don't want, every fantasy owner hopes that week one they come back and like hand them the ball 30 times, but that's not the reality of what a coach is thinking when a guy's been out for that long, right? They want to moderate their snaps, they want to see how they react, and yeah, it's hard banking on injured players, especially running backs, to like save your season, because it could, even if they do become the emerging starter again, it could take some time.
Yeah.
If it happens at all. We are at the 4-minute warning before 1 o'clock kickoff.
Packers are winning the Super Bowl. Other teams are getting lucky. Brendan, I love the optimism.
Gotta love that hope.
I'm just not there, dude. Like, in my heart, I want to be there, but my brain's just like, no, it's not happening. Jalen Waddle or Mike Evans? I would go Mike Evans this week.
I'm going Mike Evans, absolutely.
Montgomery or Stevenson? We kind of already answered this one, I think, but Stevenson.
Yep, Stevenson as well.
My opponent has Hurts, Eckler, Cook, CD, Tyreek, Mark Andrews, Pittman Jr., Broncos, DST, and Maher. It's probably the hardest matchup for me. Yeah, it's a tough one today, man. Hopefully your team can just get it done. That's gonna wrap us up here. 3 minutes till game time. I've got a trade to accept here, so I'm gonna call this one. But if you guys did not subscribe to the channel, please go ahead and do so. We do this every single Sunday. Leave a like on the video, helps out the channel, and we might be back to regular programming next week with Landon. Let's just see. But producer Scotty, thank you for coming in and putting yourself in front of the camera. I know you don't get out of the editing studio too often, but we appreciate you being here.
Always fun to join the boys. And yes, as someone rolling out just more replacements than I can remember 1 week, hope. Just hope.
Hope is the way it goes. All right, guys, good luck today. We'll see you next Sunday. Be well, and happy Thanksgiving to our beautiful Canadian listeners. We'll see you guys soon.